29 intense races have led us to this moment, the championship finale for the 1UP Superstar Series in 2024. We've got three well-deserving drivers in the hunt for the championship, but one of them has a real big advantage heading into tonight. Will that driver be the champion, or will one of his two challengers step up to the plate and take charge? We'll see what happens at the end of 94 laps tonight. This is Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is the finale. And alongside me in the commentary booth for this race, as is usually the case for the season finale, why limit it to one co-commentator when you can have two? We have both Ryan Griffin and James Ellison in the booth with us for today's race. Fantastic to have you both with us. Well, this is the championship finale. Three drivers go in, only one leaves.
And this you couldn't ask for it to be at a better racetrack. This Homestead racetrack has been one of the more entertaining, if not better, racetracks on the schedule, and the racing we see here is just amazing. You look at the truck race Friday night, and just multiple grooves here you can run. You can run the top, you can run the middle, you can run the bottom, and all three of the title contenders coming in here are going to be using those lines. The preferred line here seems to be the top lane. That's where you seem to get the momentum run, but it's going to be fun to watch, and I'm glad I'm up here to watch it, for the second race this weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be real exciting, and it's been mentioned already. The grooves, I am really excited to see how this plays out. We've had really good races here every single year since I first started coming up in the booth, and I had fun racing in a few of the races that have been run here in the other series as well. So it's really going to be exciting to see how that affects the championship fight, and to see if anybody can steal a win from the championship contenders for one last one on the season.
Absolutely, and we've got a lot in store for you tonight. Three drivers go in, only one leaves as champion. Jeffery Finguy has the biggest advantage. He's got a 45-point gap over Patrick Smith. He just needs a 34th place finish in this race to clinch the championship. Seems easy, but considering the unpredictability of this race, it's not a certainty for Jeffery Finguy. Patrick Smith, he needs a win, and he needs Jeffery Finguy, his boss, to finish outside the top 37 in this race to become champion. For Devon Fair to become a back-to-back champion like his team owner Christian Vargas, he's got an even bigger task. He needs to win this race, and he needs Jeffery Finguy to finish outside the top 40 today. That is going to be a daunting task, but as we've seen already, it's not impossible. And now, as we can bring you the full starting lineup for tonight's race at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Sam Donato, he's not in the championship hunt at all, but he gets his first pole of the 2024 season, lining up alongside Christian Vargas. But the championship contenders, highest among them in qualifying was Jeffery Finguy. He starts 5th, with Devon Fair in P8 and Patrick Smith in P15. So with that, these guys, they're all starting at the sharp end of the field. Some have a bigger advantage than others, and for this 92, he just needs a solid, uneventful day, and he'll be a champion.
That's the thing. When you come in here as the title leader, it's basically what you got to do. Just have one more solid day. They don't need to really put a risk on it. The deal is simple. Finish 34th or better. You just want to be consistent. You just want to be smart. They've already took care of one of the tasks, and that's to put it near the front of the field in qualifying. Now it's just you got to play it out and run it like you've done every other race this year.
And to pick up off of that, you got to also watch out for those who were in contention, or maybe even never were in the beginning, who could mess up your day. And we've seen it. For a long time during the regular season, you wanted to be the points leader, but you also didn't want to be the points leader, because it seemed like every time somebody took the points lead, something happened a week or two later, and they were no longer the points leader. So that's one thing going into this. Finguy may have what feels like a comfortable advantage, but all it's going to take is one bad thing to happen to him, and it's all over.
So with that being said, we have 42 of 1UP's finest ready to take on 94 laps at the Homestead-Miami Speedway for one last time in 2024. This is the 1UP Superstar Series season finale, and the green flag is getting ready to drop on this great race and end this season in grand style. For one last time in 2024. We're getting set for the green flag. It is Sam Donato and Christian Vargas on row 1. We are underway for the final time in 2024 at Homestead-Miami Speedway, with Sam Donato getting a good jump into turn 1. He's got Christian Vargas right behind. Miles Mashburn from the 3rd position trying to make some headway on the inside.
And we're going to have to watch that top lane all day today too, where Vargas is, because we've seen already in races this weekend, you run that top lane, especially if you can run high, coming here out of turn 4, you get such a run. And we'll see, it looks like Julio Caesar might be the one to get that run this time, as Ortiz is going to follow him as they come back to the line.
So far, so good for the start of the race anyway. We sometimes have some early race shenanigans at the start, but thankfully we didn't have that this time. So right now, it is Sam Donato with the lead, going down the back straightaway into turn 3. Christian Vargas holding a solid 2nd, but here is the guy we're focused on at the moment, Jeffery Finguy, who is pretty much solidly in the top 5. He's trying to find a way past Julio Caesar, but look at this, Christian Vargas diving down the inside of Sam Donato, who wants the lead for the 2nd week in a row.
Yeah, and Vargas has definitely he knows how to win here, so he's definitely was going to be a factor today for the win. Again, not so much a championship contender coming into this race this year, but definitely a factor to win the race today, and we're definitely going to have to watch out for him. But yeah, Finguy already trying to make easy work and try to hang around the top 5 today. If he does that, he's holding the big trophy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and talking about Vargas, I mean, he'd love to hoist the race trophy, but he's also got a secondary purpose. He does still have his team does still have a horse in this fight. Right, we see him back there a little ways. Devon Fair. He's got work to do, and he's also got to hope that something drastically terrible goes wrong with that 92 ahead of him. But for the moment, he still has a shot, as we see Caesar going for the lead and Vargas trying to split 3 wide on the nose.
But look at that. You get the momentum towards Julio Caesar, who takes the lead of the finale at Homestead. It's the first time he's led in a while, so good to see the 00 National Guard Dodge out in the lead of this race, but it might not last for very long, as Christian Vargas diving down the inside with help from Jeffery Finguy in the 92. Those guys are streaking ahead of the 00 and the 77, moved Vargas and Finguy, the 2 all-time wins leaders, up into the top 2 positions.
And look at Miles Mashburn also going to try to use the top lane to see if he can get around Pulsit or Donato. But yeah, at the front, there's a reason they're the 2 winningest guys in this series, and here they are up front leading, proving that point. And Finguy trying to join Vargas to hopefully try to join Vargas as a title winner in the series as well. So these 2 just seem to always be connected wherever they are.
Yeah, they can't get away from each other unless something goes wrong for one or the other, or I don't know. They just somehow don't have a good. One of them just doesn't have a good day, and the other goes and takes off or something. But these 2, they just keep going at it for wins here. And
critically, Jeffery Finguy just got a bonus point for leading a lap tonight. That is very important for the 92. Now, that means Devon Fair would need Jeffery Finguy to finish last in this race to have a shot at the championship. So, the window is closing for Devon Fair. If Finguy can lead the most laps today, that would shut Devon out entirely.
And then the other thing that would be interesting too, another caveat to this whole thing, is you got FBM in position here to actually finish 1-2 in points. Get a sweep of the top 2 in the standings. I don't know if Fair actually is going to do his best to try to prevent that, but man, it'd be interesting for that FBM team to go 1-2 since they've already won 1 championship this weekend. Can they get another one? It'd be interesting to see. And then, could they end up 1-2 in the Superstar Series? To kind of put the exclamation point on it.
Yeah, we know that up until last week they were looking at doing 1-2-3, but of course, unfortunately, Dylan Young, who we see there in the picture coming up on one of his teammates who's still in the championship fight, had some misfortune at Walt Disney World and that wasn't able to capitalize. And well, yeah, there's still a shot there, especially with Finlay fighting with Vargas for the lead, like he has been for the last several laps.
Absolutely, but it looks like he is going to give way to Christian Vargas at the moment. Or is he? He's making a big lunge up the inside, trying to make something happen. while the tires are still fresh, that inside line is still quite strong, but when they start to fade, you'll really want to rip that wall as much as you can to gain as much momentum. Remember, this is a progressive banking speedway, so you're going to want to run the outside as much as you can here. And while Finguy and Vargas go side by side for the lead for several laps now, another thing we'll have to keep our eye on tonight is that this will be around a two-stop race, because the window for fuel and tires is around 30 to 34 laps. So these guys, if they can stretch it to 34, they could probably do it in two stops. If they can't, and they have the pit on closer to lap 30, then they may have to stick to 3.
And we've seen that, you know, the fuel could be a factor. It was a factor in one of the races already this weekend. But the one thing, it's going to be interesting to watching this just now is with Vargas and Finguy leading. We talk about the high lane and talk about the multiple grooves here. Finguy's one of the only few cars that I've seen so far, at least in the early going here, that seems to be able to run the inside good off of turn 4 against somebody on the high lane. Granted, we'll see if that changes as this run goes on the tires, but definitely be something to note for later on.
And talk about going on the high line, we see it back here. Lane Sanders, he's going up on the high line outside of DeLello and DeLello's bus there, Devon Fair, who, as I said, the gap is closing on the opportunity for him to get back-to-back titles, but he's putting up every effort he can, although he's mired back a little further away from Finguy than he'd like to be.
Absolutely, because he's on the very bottom of the racetrack. He is bleeding spots at the moment. He was scored 7th last time they crossed the line. Now he's down in 10th place. So, not the best start to the race for Devon Fair, but it's still very early on. We're coming up on 80 laps to go here. So there's still plenty of time for different events to occur to tip the balance in Devon Fair's favor, but still, we've seen this before this weekend. Just because you get in a position to win a championship, that doesn't mean the car will cooperate.
I think it's funny you guys brought up Lane Sanders. We kind of a neat little note I myself have noted doing the commentary in the races I've done this season. The fact that Lane Sanders has won all but one of those races that I commentated. Well, I know Lane's camp. I know his fans are going to be happy to see me in a booth for an SS race, because it gives maybe that's a chance that they'll win one. But both those cars are actually running really good right now. Lane right now listed last time by in 6. Julio right there with them. So, you know, and that was the big risk for him starting the team this year, and it's really paid off for him. Julio's had a decent run. He just barely missed out on the playoffs, and you know, hopefully they'll come back next year and carry this momentum. And this is a good run to end the season for him. So hopefully we see more Julio and see him be a real title contender next year.
And let's not forget, they're adding a third car next year with Chase Christ in the 46, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, this is going to be real big, just seeing Spa expand like they have. And some people were skeptical that it would work, but it has worked, and it could work again, especially for someone like Chase Christ, who's been really needing something good to go his way. So, looking forward to seeing that as we focus back on Fair again, who's currently surrounded by Keon Daly, Nick Ortiz, and Emma Kruger.
Yes.
And Dugan.
Yes, lest we forget. But, yeah, Devon Fair continues to fall back through the field. As we go through the field, on the top left of your screen, see where your favorite driver is running after 17 laps of this race. However, yeah, he's not having the best start to the race. He's fallen back, continued to do so. I believe he's down in about 13th. Yeah, there he is, in 13th position as they run right now. And with Jeffery Finguy now just growing a really big lead out front, that is not what Devon wants to see, because if he gets that most laps led bonus point, Devon's out.
The other thing to keep in mind, too, I mean, we're talking about Fair because of Fair being the defending champion and have a chance to go back-to-back. Finguy's teammate is really the actual one that's closer to Finguy in terms of points. But although Patrick Smith is actually not running decent, the last I saw it looked like he was scored 22nd. So Jeffery Finguy at this point, I mean, he doesn't necessarily need to be leading this race, but he is just basically putting on a Sunday drive at the moment right now with about a second lead over this battle for second, which looks like Donato has taken from Vargas at the moment. Vargas trying to come back on the inside. But yeah, I said it during the truck commentary that there's no better way as a title contender to put the shot away. Mark it in the book, go out there, win the race, lead the most laps, and kind of stamp it, say, yeah, this is my title, and I'm just going to go and take it. So I think I'm definitely doing that here, at least through the early, not quite third of this race yet.
And meanwhile, Fair just kind of stuck in this swarm right here, which includes his full-time driver, team's full-time driver this season. And as Duke Anzac goes for a little bit of a slide up there, almost into Keanu Daly. Nice save by Duke. But for Fair, well, he needs something to change, and he might, if he'd have been looking in his mirror, he might have been hoping that 83 would have caused a caution, so he could go try to get some adjustments to that car.
And he's also looking to get into that top lane, because we're getting to that point in the run where it's starting to kick in. The top lane is going to be a big advantage from this point onward. But he's stuck on that inside, and he's got nowhere to go, because you see that hornet's nest back there of traffic that he's in. Not ideal for Devon. But what is ideal for this guy, Lane Sanders, he is trying to make a move on Miles Mashburn. That's for 4th position. As we go back now to Devon, he's just fallen out of the top 10 again. He's back to 11th as they run right now. Might get passed by Anzac and Ortiz again. But yeah, Devon is not having a terrible run, but at this point in the season, when Finguy's out there leading, it's just not enough.
Yeah, and with Finguy doing basically what he has to do to basically eliminate Fair from that fight, it's sort of like at this point, if you're Fair, you're trying to get the best you can, but obviously the car is not where you want it at this point, and you're just trying to make the most of what you have. And I've been there. I'm sure Ellison can vouch too. You've been there as a driver where you'll have races like that. You're trying to get everything you can get. It's just not everything is good. You just got to keep reel yourself back in, and just prepare. Okay, this race isn't over. Things could still turn. Things could still possibly go our way. It's just you got to keep up the fight.
Yeah, I've had several races where anybody who could remember watching some races where I started top 5, top 10 in Nitro, or even when I was still full-time in the Truck Series, you could all remember that I didn't exactly have the car to keep up the pace once the green flag waved, but it looked good on the qualifying sheets, but definitely didn't look good on race day. So I can definitely see where Fair's coming from here. So just gotta hope that this early enough, as Ortiz gets in the wall there a little bit, that's gonna be interesting to see how that affects him. But Fair real quick, he's got some time to get things figured out. So maybe something can happen, and maybe he can try to salvage at least a decent finish, even if the championship ends up being out of the picture.
And I'm going back to something Griffin said earlier, because while yes, Devon Fair is the one we're focused on because he is the defending champion and all, Patrick Smith is the one that's closer in points, and he's having an even worse day than Devon Fair is right now. You can see him side by side with Fair's teammate Zayden Davidson in the background. He's down and outside the top 20. So Patrick Smith's having a really bad day today, and that is also opening the door for Jeffery Finguy to have a great run towards what could be his first championship. Because remember, if you look at the top left of your screen, that lead is over 2 seconds now, and we're coming up on around the green flag pit stops in the next 5 to 10 laps. If that lead gets any bigger over the course of those pit stops, say goodbye to that 92.
It's like I said, Finguy's team, they came in here with one goal in mind. The ultimate goal is to win the championship. But what's the easiest way you can get that? You go out there and you dominate the race. And obviously they brought their best stuff here today. They qualified top 5. Obviously at this point in the race, they have almost, well, it's over a 2.6 second lead. Probably going to be 3 seconds before the pit stops, the way they're running at this point. As long as you got to cross your T's and dot your I's. Be mistake-free on pit road. Make sure you make the right adjustments to the car. And just don't do anything. Control what you can control, is what I'm trying to say in a nutshell here. Control what you control. You can't control what your competition does. You can't control cautions. You can't control what everybody else does. But cross your T's and dot your I's, and clearly the 92 team came in here with that in mind today.
Yeah, and they've got that car dialed in, and hopefully they can keep it dialed in the rest of the race so they can have that championship they've been pursuing all season. We've seen it in the garage area and a few other places. Finguy's been kind of down on himself, especially in some of the races that he's had where things just weren't going right. And I can understand he's going to be wisely not saying anything until that checkered flag falls and inspection's cleared and he is for sure our champion. So he's just got to really hope for things to go his way, even if it comes at the expense of one of his drivers and teammates whom we are looking at right now.
Yeah, and since we since we had that conversation, Patrick Smith has lost at least 5 more positions in the running order. He's right at the tail end of this really big pack we're looking at. So, tough situation for Patrick Smith. You know, he joined Finguy Saitomi Motorsports this year and was having a really good season. He won at Vermont, remember, first career win for him in the Superstar Series. So, it's just not his day today, and you know what? That's okay, because if he performs as well next year as he has this year, he'll be a title contender again.
And the fact that he's going to be in that car next year too, so it's not like he's switching teams. You know, he's going to be with the same team next year, so that's definitely going to be a big boost, especially after having that first year under the belt. The first year jitters are kind of out of the way, and now it's like now you can go. And definitely with the way this 92 team is run this year, if they start putting those resources out into some of the other cars, like we saw Dylan Young run really good this year. I really think if this team, and I'm not saying that being that I'm going to be driving for them next year, as it looks like Finguy is going to kick off the pit stops here, but kind of on the early end of the window for Finguy, though. I mean, unless they're just playing a little more conservative strategy of just getting in and getting the fresh tires early.
Yeah, it's a good possibility, and it looks like he's the lone wolf on that right now, as you see the rest of the field streaking by here, which he's going to be okay with being last for at least a little while, because he knows everybody else still has to pit. But honestly, this could be, like you said, it could just be a strategy just to get the fresher tires and to see if he can't take them to an advantage here.
But he's got to keep in mind as well, if a caution were to come out in the middle of this cycle, it would ruin his night and trap him a lap down potentially. But it looks as though a lot more cars are coming in this time, one of which is Devon Fair in the 51. He had to react to what Jeffery Finguy was doing, so he is the second of our championship contenders to hit pit road today. And it looks like this is a much bigger group than we had earlier. And here's Finguy exiting.
It's interesting you mentioned caution coming out in the middle of the stops. We saw that in already one of the races this weekend where you got to be careful with these guys entering pit road and exiting pit road. Finguy,
like right now?
I guess I think Finguy's got to be careful right here with these guys coming to pit road.
Oh, he's so slow. This is going to cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, but you know what? As long as he didn't tear up the car, that's the good thing. I understand he's going to lose a little time here, but he had 3 seconds he could spare, basically, from when the stop started. So we'll see how that works out here, see how much he actually loses. But, hey, he took care of the car and did get himself tore up in that little run. And I think that was Emma Kruger that actually was trying to pit, and they kind of got crossed up between each other.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was Kruger. As you see right here, Jake McMillan, Aaron Hall, Kruger's teammate. Last two did not yet pit, now coming in finally. McMillan, he's had an up and down season. Hall as well. They wanted to get out there and get their sponsors in the spotlight for a little bit before making their pit stops. And now, even with that little bit of delay, Finguy should be back in the lead. We'll see here shortly.
And going back to what you're saying about McMillan, this is his last Superstar race for a while. If, at least full time, because he's dropping down to the Nitro National Series. He's trying to be the first man to win in all 3 series, so good on him for trying that, and he's got to be considered the title favorite for that series going into next year. His wealth of Superstar experience, 7 wins in this series. I expect him to be very strong in Nitro competition next year. But, like we said, or like you said, rather, Jeffery Finguy, despite losing a lot of time to those cars that were coming into pit road, he is going to have a much bigger lead now than he did before.
Yeah, I really think they've got that car. They came in with the full purpose of winning this race. Despite the scenario, I think they came with the purpose of we were going to go out there and we're going to win this race. We're going to firmly take this and make a point of taking it. And
especially
right
with
now,
Devon Fair in
have.
25th place now. Jeez.
Yeah, Fair just that. It seems like that. It almost seems like, because I saw the similar thing seem to happen also with Patrick Smith. They got stuck on the low lane very early in the race, and it seems as if their cars were not working that great on the low lane, and they lost all that ground early on. And then once you get to the low lane, you can't get back to the top lane, and you end up back here.
Yeah, and look through the back of the field, you see his little cycle there. There you saw Austin Runkle sitting in the last place there. He didn't start very much further ahead. It's not been very good for him and quite a few others. I mean, we talk about it, and of course, being back on Patrick Smith.
Yeah, he's down in 36 now.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rough go. You wouldn't expect a Finguy Saitomi car to be hanging back here with, you would expect them to hang around with, say, Fitzy or Silver Fox there when they're having a good day, but not in the back with them having a bad day alongside them. That's for sure.
But now, look at the lead Jeffery Finguy has. It is 4 seconds between himself and the new second-place car, Miles Mashburn, in the 72. But not too far behind him is Lane Sanders in the 87. And Finguy and Sanders actually had the most wins this season with 4 apiece. If one of them could get to 5 wins in 2024, that'd be a new benchmark for, at least for the first time in a while. Because we haven't had a 5-win season in Superstar in a little while, so it'd be cool to see that happen. But one thing to note, as they run right now, of course, we're not even at halfway yet, but as of this moment, Jeffery Finguy has the point for leading the most laps. If he keeps it the rest of the day, Devon Fair can no longer win this championship.
And at this point, we're going to rapidly be approaching the halfway point in this race, but there is going to come a point where nobody can surpass Finguy for that total. So that's something we are going to watch here. Obviously, we're watching. We're the eye in the sky. We're watching everything here, but it's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on when he gets to that point, because it would basically be the final nail in the coffin for Fair's hopes of trying to go back to back like his teammate did.
Yeah, that's something he does not want to have happen. We documented Revolution Racing wants to keep basically a stranglehold on the championship battle. They do not want to give up hoisting trophies for the title. But it's looking like at this point, barring some miracle for Fair, that's not that they're going to have to take their hands off the trophy for this year. And we're looking at Vargas and Zayden Davidson here, along with Nick Ortiz, who his last race in that current ride.
Yeah, he's not going to be. He's still going to be in the 91, but he's going to bring his own team up to Superstar and drive for it himself. So we're still going to see Nick Ortiz in the 91, just not with that team anymore as it's shutting down. But one point I did want to make: Zayden Davidson in that 4 car, he started 25th in this race, and he has already gotten quite far up the field, probably on account of a good pit strategy. He's up to 6th place at the moment, and he's already locked up Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, well, we mentioned that there was a new second, third. That's the beauty about this racetrack, and I kind of like seeing this play out when you have when people pit on different laps and who gets the fresh tires first. Because there's multi-grooves here, people can really make a gain from where they start. And you pointed it out with Davison. We've seen it already in a couple of races already this weekend, that being able to make up time just because you start at the back does not necessarily mean you're going to finish back there. So you just got to have the car to be able to do it. And we take a look at the back half of the top 10 here. You get the 16 and the 20 back here that have cracked the top 10 as well.
The 76 is just outside it.
So yeah, you can easily make up spots here, and it's kind of interesting to watch some of the midfield and kind of the back half top 10 battles sometimes to see who the comers and goers are.
And we've seen some races this year where the mid packers and even some of the back markers have certainly shown that there is potential in both their equipment and they themselves, because we've seen like Denver the road course. We saw that big surprise upset, and we've seen so many other things that have gone on. People getting top tens you don't normally see, and I'm talking about races outside of Daytona and Talladega too. So it for some of these guys like 76 with Parker, you want that last good run before the end of the season to get ready for next year and hope to have some momentum as you do so.
Yeah, and Jason Parker is I believe this is only his third start of the season, and he's made the most of all of them. He's led laps in his prior 2 appearances this year. He won the pole at North Wilkesboro, I believe it was. So, strong stuff from the 76 when it's made the field, as it looks like Davidson has caught Vargas for 4th place at the moment. And I want to make a note about Bobo Jones in the 10th position. This is his last race with Venta Motorsport. He moves over to Jeff Bolton Racing for 2025. Wouldn't it be great to see that 16 car get a top 10 before he leaves? And for what it's worth, he is outperforming both of his teammates at the moment.
I'm going to bring this up because I've just noticed this as we're cycling through the field here, checking where everybody's at. The interval between Finguy and Sanders, who has now taken over 2nd place, is slowly dropping. Now, it should be noted Finguy was the first to kick off the cycle. Sanders came in a lap or 2 after Finguy, so he's got a little bit fresher tires. So I'm wondering if we're starting to see that tire difference start to show up just a little bit here, because he has cut. The lead we saw it was near 4 seconds. It's down to almost 2 seconds, down almost half. So Sanders' car again. Well, then again, people the viewers know that I've been in the booth when Sanders has won races. So I'm sure Sanders fans are like, okay, maybe this is that magic showing up. But as we approach the halfway point, Finguy, very good position to lock up those bonus points for leading the most laps.
Yeah, and even if Sanders were to somehow, through the remaining pit cycles, do things to where he would steal the win away, which we all know, all 3 of us and everybody else watching this and in the stands and on TV will know this is not what he wants to see. Finguy does not want to lose this race. He wants to secure the title and the win. He wants to take 2 trophies home tonight. So if Sanders could steal 1 trophy away from him, that might knock the wind out of sails a little bit, but I don't think it'll do too much.
Yeah, because you got to consider Jeffery Finguy, considering how Devon and Patrick are doing today. He's already got 1 hand on the championship trophy. I know he's going to hate me for saying that, but that's just how his run's been going, and he's not that far away from locking up that most laps led bonus point and shutting out Devon Fair. And the way Patrick Smith's running, he's not even in the top 30 as they run right now. So I know he's going to hate me for saying this, but he's doing a really good job. As you can see him in the background about to catch lap traffic, the first of those being that 5 car of Austin Runkle, who, as you mentioned earlier, running 42nd. And I do want to make quick mention of Austin Runkle because this will be his final ride in the one-up competition in general. He's stepping aside after this season. I know you guys have raced against him before. He's had some great runs. He hasn't had the best run this season, but it's going to be a shame not seeing the Spotify machine on track again.
Well, for any competitor, you don't want to see you don't want to see your fellow competitor walk away. You want to be able to race him and see him each week and chat with him, and then the general chit chat that takes place before these races get going. And I'm sure Ellison can pretty much vouch for me in saying it's tough to see any competitor finally to say, okay, I'm done, and move on to other pastures. But Rungle is one I would have liked to see him do more in this series and more in the league here. But ultimately you got to make it's up to you as the driver to decide. Is this it? And for some, it's hey, I've had my fill. It's time to move on. And I wish him the best in whatever endeavors he moves on to, and hopefully he doesn't stay a stranger and will come by and visit us more than once. Yeah,
and talking about drivers stepping aside, just ahead of him as we watch Vargas take second back from Sanders here. and Finguy just still hanging on to a roughly 2-second lead. Up ahead of him was someone that we didn't think Ronkel is someone we didn't think we'd see back, and someone I'm proud to assign to replace me in the 31 in Nitro next year, Lex Alushon. Not having a great night tonight, just logging some laps, but I am really I'm glad to see her back because she stepped aside rather unexpectedly when she did, and it's going to be nice to see what she can do when taking over that 31 seat. But for right now, just logging laps as the championship fight goes on around her and the others that she's racing with.
With our sentimental talk aside, back up to the actual racing action now. We're on lap 53 of 94. We're past halfway now. We have Vargas. He's taken over second place from Lane Sanders quite definitively now, and he's also cut the gap down. It was 2 seconds. Now it's down to a second and a half, and now it's down to 1.3. I think whoever mentioned the tire fall off, I think you're right about that, because Finguy was the first one in, and we're only about 6 to 12 laps away from our final pit stop cycle. Will Finguy be the first one on pit road again, or will he try and stretch this to try and make it on 2 stops?
Well, I was the one who mentioned it because I noticed the interval was dropping. That's what made me think that. But these guys also did adjust on those cars, so maybe it could just be that Vargas's car is a little bit better than Finguy's at this point. But I really think it is the tire difference is starting to show up now. But I kind of like what Finguy with the 92 team decided to do here. It seems like you pit early for the first one, you get that advantage. Now what you can do is make this your long run. Make this your long run before you make that next stop. Then you have the short run to the end. So it's a little bit of a gamble again, because we said when they made the stops, you don't want a caution coming out in the middle of the cycle and trapping a lap down. But so far it's worked off and paid off for them. Again, it's put them in the position right now where they can basically lock out Fair and lead the most laps. So maybe it was a strategy call on their part to pit early, get the tires as soon as they could so they could stretch the interval and lead a lot of laps.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, because I don't know for sure they want to ensure that Fair cannot get the championship, which, of course, as we've documented a few times already, the way he's running that was looking pretty slim already. So Finguy's doing what he needs to do, and it's just going to have to work out.
Put it this way, though. Christian Vargas he's taken another 3/10 out of the lead. It's under a second now. But going back to what we were saying about Devon Fair, he's actually made some decent headway on those fresh tires. He's up into the top 15 again, so he's making good progress. It doesn't look like it's gonna be enough to get the title, but he's salvaging his day, which is what he probably hopes to do with this, end the season on a high note. But I think it might be his 2 teammates that could challenge Jeffery Finguy for the win today. Vargas has got the gap down to half a second now.
You talk about this the race and everything else. Here's an interesting note. I kind of noticed it because we were talking about Rumble as well, who was running where he's running. We're almost 2/3 of the way through this race, and all 43 cars are still on the racetrack. We have not had a car yet fall out of this race, so if that can stay that way, that'd be a great way to end the season with all 43 cars, or all 42 cars still running to finish. I mean, that would be a great way to end the season. As Vargas is, man, I'm telling you, I still think it was that tire difference, and I wonder if that was a strategy played by that 92 team to get out there to guarantee him leading the most laps, so he could lock Fair out of the title fight. So unfortunately, I think they're going to give it. They're more than likely going to give up the lead to Vargas here as he looks to the inside now. But again, I believe that's what the strategy they try to play. Obviously, Finguy I know wants to win this race, but obviously the bigger prize is let's get that championship.
Yeah, and it's at this point where I think he knows the tires are a little bit worse than Vargas's. He's just gonna. Although he's still putting up a fight, but I think it's going to get to the point where he's going to realize these two he keeps fighting Vargas. That's going to bring Sanders, who's already reclosing the gap, and it's also going to bring a new challenger, at least a new challenger to Finguy. That would be Zane Davis.
Because remember, Davidson started back in 25th, so he's passing Sanders now for third. That's a 22 spot net gain for Zayden Davidson. And he's only won one race this season back in Hanford, so Davidson would love a second win. I'm sure he would, to tie his fellow rookie Julio Caesar with 2. But yeah, at this point, I'm stumbling over my words here, but Jeffery Finguy has already gone farther into this run than he did on the first run, and I think he's going to go for another lap here. I think you're right that he's going to make this his long stint to try and make it to the end of the race on just one more pit stop, and I think he can do it by pitting either this time or the next time.
Yep, and that's when you think about it, people are wondering at home, why would you give up so much time late in the run? Well, in this case, if you pit later now, maybe if Vargas decides to pit with you, if you get a couple people come with you, you're on the same tires as them. So it's not you won't see the tire difference that you're seeing right now, as sure enough as you stated, Finguy gonna hit pit road this time. He's just make a solid smooth entry. This could be the last stop for this 92 team for the year.
And it looks like Mashburn's coming with him, so this could be the money stop.
And he's not alone this time. And there's Fair, there's Bobo Jones. You got a few others trying something here. You mentioned Fair coming back a little bit, even though he is essentially out of the fight now. But he could still salvage something, although it'll probably still feel like a major defeat. But he's giving it a valiant effort for sure. As Vargas, he's going to stay out another lap while his teammate and Sanders go in.
Yeah, Nick Ortiz is coming with him. Keon Daly going to make the trip. Parker's back there. He's pitting. So, final pit stop cycle of the season. These are the stops that matter most. And everyone who pits now will be able to make it to the end of the race because we're 31 laps to go. That's easily within the window. I think Vargas, he's trying to do exactly what he did on the first cycle. Pit among the last ones to pit. So he'll have the freshest tires at the end of the race when they're really going to matter.
What's going to be interesting is because this stint's going to be shorter than the previous stint, it's going to be interesting if Vargas has enough time to be able to catch back to make up the time he's going to lose by pitting later. So we'll have to see how this all sorts out, see what gap there is between Finguy and Vargas once it cycles, and if Vargas is going to be able to make up the difference that's going to be between the two.
Yeah, you see there, Jake McMillan staying out again, and looks like he's got a few more friends besides Aaron Hall this time, or at least one. He's got Mark Davey, who himself is going to be moving on to a new ride next year. As you look at everybody else that's already pit, and here comes McMillan. He's led another few more laps. Davey, Aaron Hall,
Dylan Young's out there, AJ Jones,
and still a handful here. AJ Jones. Not been the greatest.
Well, we still don't know what A.J. Jones is doing next year, and that's a shame, because remember, back in the start of the year, he won the Daytona 500, so it's going to be tough potentially not seeing A.J. Jones on the grid next year, but we're hoping he find something that is worthy of him, because he has earned it after winning the Daytona 500 and a few other strong runs this year.
Here's what we're really going to want to watch is this gap between Finguy and Vargas. As clearly Finguy gapped before Davidson and the 87 of Sanders. The question now is going to be, what's the gap between Finguy and Vargas, and can Vargas, who's going to be on the freshest tires of the four, can he run Finguy down like he did that previous stint and have enough time to catch him and get by him before this race is over?
Yeah, and you see now, lap traffic is a factor now, as Finguy has put a few down. Runkle, I'm pretty sure I saw Lucian and one other, Mahendra, right there ahead of him in the 53. He's got a bit of a cushion between himself and his nearest challenger, which this time right now, 3.5 seconds back as of the last interval, is Zayden Davidson this time.
And while Vargas is 8 seconds off the lead, look who's right behind him. Devon Fair, by that early pit stop, has leapfrogged a bunch of people and moved up into 6th position. He might lose that to Bobo Jones here in a moment. But considering the start of the race he had, Devon Fair putting on a really good recovery.
Yeah, even if they lose maybe a spot or two here, that's a good recovery for that 51 team to get back at least into the top 10 to have a chance here. So, and again, all 42 starters still in this race. Although we got a couple that are now going a lap down to race leader Finguy. And now this is going to be the question. This is what we're going to have to monitor. Right now, Vargas has the fastest lap at the moment, but we're going to have to monitor this interval with Vargas on those fresher tires. Can he do what he did in that previous stint? Is there enough time for him to run down Finguy? Or does Jeffery Finguy put the exclamation point on a championship caliber season by getting the win here in Homestead?
Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we? Because he's got a almost 3.5 second lead here as we enter lap 70 now, and he has put some distance between himself and Davidson in the form of these lap cars. Liam Nolan, Austin Runkle, and I think Mahendra is still ahead of Davidson back there, 3.5 off the lead. So Finguy's got a really good cushion at the moment, but he's just got to play it smart here. He's just got to think about everything that's gotten him to this point, and as they run right now, he would be champion in grand style.
Yeah, leading the most laps from. Granted, he didn't get the big factor, so he did get the pole to make it a true sweep, but lead the most laps and win the race in a race where you basically had to finish 34th or better. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better way to put the cap on it if that's the way it goes here in the next 23 laps.
And he's going to hate us talking like this, but unfortunately we have to look at things realistically. Sorry, Jeffrey, but we got to look at it realistically. And right now, he has a really big lead, and like was mentioned, there's still Mahendra and a couple others in between him and Davidson, but it looks like the slightly fresher tires are starting to kick in a little bit, at least for Runkle, because he gained a position, although he's still a lap down at the moment. I don't think Finguy's too bothered by him, although he might be a little bothered right now.
Yeah, because he's trying to lap himself, and good for the 5 at this point, because he's not coming back. He's not racing next year. He doesn't really care if anyone's mad at him, so why not try and unlap himself here, get a better finish out of this race? Because if we have some craziness happen at the end of this, he'd be on the lead lap. We'd see what happens here. But Finguy trying to make something happen out of this race as we look a little further ahead. Yeah, Patrick Smith's not that far away from being lapped by, and actually him and Dylan Young are outside the top 30. So while Finguy's dominating this race in grand style, his teammates having a mighty struggle. So with that being said, it obviously the setups did not translate very well. However, Finguy's just driving away with it. He's got an almost 4-second lead, and Nolan's right behind him. That's a buffer car. Mahendra's back there. That's a buffer car. We got things going, although I think I see some smoke up ahead. Something could be happening, and there is something happening. We got to crash it. It's Dylan Young.
Well, that's going to bring out the yellow for the first time today, and well, this is going to be interesting to see if anybody actually pits here too. So we say it all the time that you can never know, and I understand Finguy's hesitation with trying to call things before they're over, but you never know what can happen, and well, I guess we're going to see what happens now after this yellow coming out.
And of all things for it to be, it's one of his own teammates. The last 2 weeks have not been kind to Dylan Young, clearly, and well, we're going to find out soon enough what happened, but first, of course, we got to see if anybody's going to pit, which this late in the game, if you're going to pit, you better hope you're not the only one.
And you're probably going to want to be in the mid-pack to do it, because if you're in the front, there's no way you come in. You've got this track position. You'd be a fool to get rid of it. And, critically, with Dylan Young out of the race now, that officially eliminates Devon Fair from the championship hunt.
Yeah, that's the big thing is the fact that we've got somebody that's going to finish in that spot. So Fair is, regardless of what happens to Finguy, is effectively he's locked out of the title fight. So it's just basically the teammates
So here is what happened to Dylan Young, and to put us under our first caution of the day, he was running in the back anyway, and making his way through 3 and 4. The engine just couldn't handle the heat, and he was going to be out of the race anyway. And I think he might have got a little help from Cale Tescart Jr. Maybe he didn't, but either way, he just shot straight up into the outside wall, and that is going to put an end to his race.
Almost looks like he might have gotten some oil on those rear tires, and when the engine let go, and it slid the oil and up the track and into the fence.
And that's just real unfortunate for him. Like I said, it's been a rough go for in the last couple of races.
One more look at this, and yeah, you see him. He's doing the best he can given the circumstances, but he was never going to have a good race today, and it showed with his track position. But I think you're right. He just got a little bit of oil on his tires from his engine failing, and that just sent him up into the outside wall. But look how close Jeffery Finguy came to getting turned by Liam Nolan there. That could have changed the entire complexion of this race.
Absolutely, especially with there being basically Young being the first car now out of the race. I mean, there was still a possibility, and I can understand, Finguy's hesitation all week with us talking about these scenarios and the position that he was in. I can understand that apprehension. He's not going to be celebrating it until he knows that it's firmly his.
And we're gonna find out very soon just how firm that is, because he's in the lead right now. He's still got, well, now it's a 1-lap car cushion between himself and Zayden Davidson for the win.
That's going to go away at the restart, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because with the lappers, once we get the 1 to go, they're going to go to the inside. As long as the 92 can get clear, of course, in Zayden's case, we mentioned it, he wants that second career win, and he'd love nothing more than to do it while trying to take some of the wind out of the sails of the guy who is effectively, although we can't say it's official until the checkered flag waves, we're pretty much looking at who's going to be the champion should things stay as they are.
And we do get the 1 to go signal here. Lushan and Mahendra take their place in the inside lane. Liam Nolan got the free pass under this caution, so he gets back on the lead lap. We should have 39 cars on the lead lap, with the only 2 a lap down being Mahendra and Lushan, plus Dylan Young out of the race. But we're going to have a restart with 16 laps to go from Homestead, and I, for one, am very curious to see how Finguy fares against these guys behind him with fresher tires.
Honestly, I think the one car I'm going to be watching in this, and I'm sure his team was probably jumping up and down when the yellow came out, is the 54 Vargas. I think Vargas might be, if he can have a really good restart here, he's got the freshest tires of this top 5. And as we saw at the end of the previous run, he was the only one of that group that really was able to make a charge to Finguy. And I think, I'm trying to remember, I think he did end up taking the lead from Finguy as the stop started, or I think Finguy might have pitted from the lead. I don't remember. I know he's close, but that's the one I'm going to be watching on this restart. If he has a good restart, that may be the biggest challenger to Finguy here in these final 16 laps.
Yeah, that's well, you can't count all the ones in between Finguy and Vargas have at least taken a shot at it before that 54 gets there. But green flag's going back in the air. We are about to find out just how strong that 92 is under pressure.
So we're back underway with 16 laps to go. Jeffery Finguy has now clinched the bonus point for leading the most laps today. So I think Devon Fair was going to be out of the hunt regardless, even if Dylan Young hadn't crashed out there. But Devon still has a race to win, and he's now in a very good position. He's in 6th place, only a second off the lead. So if they tuned his car well enough in those pit stops, he could be in the mix for a win as well.
You see, this is where I know Ellison mentioned about the lap car that was between Finguy and Davis. This is where the lap traffic, I think, is going to help Finguy as well, because if he can stay just enough ahead of the 42, that takes a lane away from Davidson to try to make a pass on Finguy. And we got to keep that in mind. You take the lane away, there's no passing lane, you can't get around the guy. So we say that lap car buffer may not have been enough for Finguy. It might just be enough. Look at Zane Sanders through the middle between the lap car, the 1, and the 72 at Mashburn.
And you notice that they're on the restart. The 42 and the 1, they did not fall back as quickly as these leaders would have liked. You see, even though she's starting to fall back a little bit there, Lucian's still trying to hang in there. It shows these two, the cars have some speed to be able to keep it to leaders. It's just, they just were in the wrong position to be able to have a shot at it, as right now, I'm sure Sanders and Davidson are not thrilled with Mahindra.
No, but I think Davidson's going to be able to clear the 42, at least off of 4. And this is going to, and look, Vargas is going to try and follow him through a few car lengths back. We're closing in on 10 laps to go. And we got 13 to go at the moment, and Jeffery Finguy, he's led a lot of this race, but it is not in his grasp just yet.
And I still think the biggest challenger might be that orange and white 54, as he's going to take that 3rd position from Sanders now.
Last race with that sponsor as well.
And try to set sail after his teammate. So I still think Vargas is the one to watch here. I think he's the one that's going to have a shot at Finguy if he can get by his teammate quick enough.
And talking about teammates, Fair's hanging back there. Right now he's kind of stuck behind Sanders, Lucian, and Mashburn. Although only Lucian's going off for position, but still an obstacle, as well as the 42, who is now starting to finally fall back, as now Finguy finds himself under attack from a duo of Revolution drivers once again.
And for Davidson, yeah, he wants this win. He wants this win bad. He remembers how good it felt at Hanford, California when he got that win. Wouldn't he love another one to end the season off and cement himself as a possible contender for next year? And he's sending it off down there. Davidson could be trying to win this for himself. I know he wants a Revolution win. I know I'm pretty sure he knows Vargas has the faster car, but wouldn't he want to be the one to upstage his championship-winning teammates?
Well, it's funny you say that, because that last time they come off of turn 4, Vargas got to run off the high side. Davison pinched him off, and I was like, yeah, I think Davidson's ready to commit for this one himself, but Vargas is like, I got the better car. He's going to take that 2nd position. And I'm telling you, I foresaw this battle kind of the way that previous stint ended before we got the Dylan Young yellow. I think this race is between Finguy and Vargas, although you never know what can happen here in these late laps, so be fun to watch.
Yeah, these two get to fight side.
Here we go. Vargas to the outside of Finguy. He wants to lead this race for the first time in a long while. And as he comes out of turn 4, to take 9 laps to go, I think he's going to get there. He did get there. Vargas to the lead, and he might even bring Lane Sanders with him.
Here comes that 87 that's been sitting in the woodwork all day today, been in the top 5. He wants to have his say in who wins this race.
And he's doing a real nice job of it. Pushing Vargas up ahead, although I know he's not doing that just to say, here you go, buddy, take that win. He wants it for himself, and here he goes.
Here he comes, around the outside.
Well, with 8 laps to go, it'll be the 87 that leads this lap. Now, Finguy, I think, I don't know if it's the tire difference. I think these guys are just, we got a little bit of cars at this point, and I think Finguy's not, he knows what's on the line for him right now, and he's just trying to make sure he brings it home safely. Yeah, he may probably go for the race win, but don't tear your stuff up trying to go for the race win when you know you got the title in hand.
And he knows Patrick Smith's not in contention, so he can just cruise.
Yeah, that's the thing that you got to look at here. And I mean, you look back there. I mean, think back, like we talked about it with Walt Disney World. Finguy, he wasn't able to clinch at Walt Disney World because that one car back there, although with a different driver, was hindering him from getting up to where he could clinch. And now, even though Fair is already out by points, it seems like it's not that way, obviously, but Finguy's probably looking, if he's even caring to look back at all, would probably be thinking that's just good measure to ensure that Fair knows he's lost this one.
And we're coming up now on the end of this thing. We're coming up on the end of this race. We have 6 laps of racing to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Lane Sanders looking for his 5th win of the season at this point, which he's never won more than 1 race in a season before now. So It'll be a very big story for him to get 5 in a single season. But I think Vargas is going to have something to say about it, and he is going to have something to say about it. He makes a swift move to the outside here, trying to make something happen. He's going to make the move around the outside, get the lead of the race, and he gets it as the caution comes out.
That could be the race.
That
may just be the race.
And
I
this
think
is
Vargas
why.
just won it.
Big crash at the back. Liam Nolan, Duke Ansack, Ryan Caggiano, J.D. Martin's race for the second week in a row ends early. And this very well could be the end of the race. And that pass by Vargas could have been for the win.
Well, we'll see here. Although, again, we've already seen one race that went under yellow and thought the race was over. And, well, we know how that one ended, but it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I think it pretty much is Vargas and Finguy going to come home in the podium position. I guess when he crosses the line, he can officially say that he's got the title.
Yeah. Meanwhile, as we look at J.D. Martin, and you mentioned it, back-to-back bad luck weeks, and it's just what could have been for drivers like J.D. Martin, like Joshua Michaels, like others, who had flashes of success and hope and good things going for them, and now this is how their seasons are going to end, unfortunately.
So it looks like it all starts here with Ryan Caggiano. He was running in the back of the field. I think, he's going to get some help from Jeff Bolton in the 38 and crosses up straight into the path of Ansack in front of Splitzer. Nowhere for these guys to go. And James Silverfox gets a piece. J.D. Martin piles in. You hate to see it at the end of the race, at the end of the season for all these guys, because they really wanted to end the season on a high note.
Yeah, so especially the final 5 laps of the race to have it happen right there, and poor Duke Ansack, just wrong place, wrong time for that car to spin up in front of him, and I don't know what was going on there. It's almost as if the 38 was not expecting him to slow down that quickly, and he just kind of ran him over. It almost looked like.
We'll get one more look at this, and I want your input on this as well, Ellison. I think the 38 just wasn't expecting Caggiano to check up that much, and we know what happens after that.
And that's just not how Caggiano... It's been a rough season for Caggiano, and I think it's one of the reasons why he sprung on the opportunity to sign with us at Crossroads Racing for next year. Hopefully things will go better for him there, but you really hate that for all of these drivers, especially the strong start Duke Ansack had, and it's the flashes of success we saw Splitzer and a few of the others who were involved had this year. You hate to see something like that go on at the final race and the final laps as we find out what's going to happen here with whether or not we get to go back to green. It don't matter really much for Finguy because he's got the title pretty much locked up except for waiting for the checkered flag.
Well, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? Because this is going to go one of two ways. Either the lights stay on the pace car when they cross the start-finish line, and this race will end under caution, or they go out when they cross the line, and we're going to have one lap to decide the champions. So it's a bit cliche, I know, but we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, the one-lap dash, I mean, you never know. We could see a last lap pass. The way this track is and the way the racing is here, you very well could see a last lap pass. So just because we go to a one-lap dash, you can't necessarily give it to Vargas. So, I know Sanders wants to break that tie with Finguy and say that, if anything, hey, I won the most races this year. That would definitely be something you could carry into next year and say, hey, we could do the same thing next year. And we'll find out as the field will come off turn 4 here.
Yeah, you talk about breaking a tie with Finguy. I know a few of us have joked a few times about how Sanders and Finguy have been quote-unquote best buddies in the past, so they may not think much of each other in terms of rivalries or anything.
Here we go. We got the lights out.
Yep.
One lap to settle it here at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in here, guys. Who you taking? You taking Vargas? You taking Sanders? I think Finguy gets them both?
I think Vargas is going to have a good restart, and at this point, you only have one lap to get up to speed. I just don't know if anyone behind Sanders is really going to have a shot at it.
At this point, though, the way it's been for me in the booth with Superstar races,
that's true as well.
I'm going to ride the horse. I'm going to ride the 87 here. I'm going to ride Sanders. I think he gets the jump. I think it's the jump on Vargas, and I think he gets him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Ryan, because he could get the good jump, but I gotta say, if anybody's gonna win, I mean, yeah, these top two right here are probably the best shot, but I'd say anyone who's caught behind the one car of Lucian right now is not gonna have a chance unless something crazy happens with this top four ahead of her.
Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? And I'll let you guys have one last say of this before we go back to racing, but this is going to be epic.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. The racing here is great. I can't wait to see what these guys can do with just one lap to settle it.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. Like I said, it's hard to say that anyone behind the one's gonna have a shot, but green's flag's back in the air. Looks like Vargas got a real good jump.
One lap to go in the 2024 season. Hate to interrupt, but we've got so much to talk about in this final lap. Christian Vargas does get a good launch off the line. He's pulled a car length on Lane Sanders. Single file they go through turn 2 for the final time this season, and Vargas gets a great run down the back. If Lane Sanders is going to have anything to say about this, he's going to have to make the move now. Through 3 and 4. For the final time they go. Sanders needed to go up high, but I don't think he's got the car for it. So coming out of turn 4 for the final time, back-to-back weeks, it's going to be Christian Vargas in victory lane for the 15th time in his career, and he does it at Homestead. But further back, by finishing third today, Jeffery Finguy has achieved his lifelong goal, and at long last, he is the 2024 1-Up Superstar Series champion, and in commanding style.
Yeah. He may not have gotten the final check mark he wanted. He wanted the race win, probably, but he got the big check mark. That's the big trophy and the big check. And I know, speaking with somebody that's driven for him, I know there was no bigger goal he wanted this year than to take the championship, and he's got it now.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am real happy to see him get it. He could have locked it up a race early at Walt Disney, but he still managed to get it tonight, and that is all he needed, especially when his competition, including a teammate, didn't have a very good run.
And you got to keep in mind as well, there's so much to talk about here. Finguy, he's hinted a couple times that he might step aside after this. If he wins the championship, he might be done. So who knows if this was the last time we'll see Jeffery Finguy on track. I sure hope it isn't, because he's been a great asset to this series, and we hope we'll see him again in 2025. And
I want to race against him.
Absolutely, and shout out to Christian Vargas for winning his last race with Hooters on the car. That combo has been so iconic over the years. It's going to be a shame to see them part ways after this race, but man, what an incredible season we have had from start to finish, from AJ Jones winning at Daytona to Christian Vargas getting the final checkered flag at Homestead. It's been an absolute thrill ride from March till November, and we are so grateful to have you along for the ride as well. So with that being said, from Ryan Griffin, from James Ellison, and from myself as well, thank you so much for joining us for the 2024 1-Up Superstar Series season, and we'll see you again real soon, I'm sure, because 2025 is coming before you know it, and we'll be ready for the shootout at the Daytona Beach Road Course. We'll see you guys then, but until that day comes, so long from Homestead. Congratulations to Christian Vargas on a big win, his 15th in total, and a mega congratulations to Jeffery Finguy. He finally achieved it after so many near misses. No one can take it away from him now. He is the 2024 1-Up Superstar Series champion.